Welcome otakus, it's your tour guide here with another video, and recently I did a top 25 Superman covers, top 25 covers in my collection for Superman, and I just thought it would only be fitting to do Wolverine next. And really with Wolverine, I have a lot of Wolverine covers in my collection. And we could have really expanded it to 25 as well, but I just thought I would go with the top 10, partly because I just didn't want to dig out 25 books, and also because I think 10 is just a good number to cover. It's a simpler video, and I think 25 is just a little exhaustive. And so yeah, we're gonna go with the top 10 Wolverine covers in my collection. So here we go. Let's start off with number 10. This is just a beautiful cover right here. Some Barry Windsor Smith goodness here. I love the color, love the layout. This is the Weapon X program. What's really funny is that the origin of the comic is actually laid out for us in another Barry Windsor Smith story in Marvel Comics Presents number 72. This gives us a little preview of it, but it isn't the Weapon X program story. The origin isn't revealed until much later, but this is just a great cover of Wolverine undergoing this sort of experimentation. This sort of sets the stage for that program later. Beautiful cover. Again, I love the color, just love all the intricacy. Just shows Wolverine undergoing some kind of experiment there. Pretty cool cover. And I think you'll agree with me, Barry Windsor Smith is just known for his very unique art style, very signature style. And so this is a beautiful illustration of that. Okay, moving on. Really, this next cover, you could argue it should be much higher on the list, and it probably should be. It probably is one of my more favorite ones. It's just that there's so many covers that I recently picked up that I just like more than this. And as I was kind of prioritizing it, I just realized really the other books in my collection are better covers in my opinion, but this is got to be up there. This iconic cover, the crucifixion, Logan there on an X cross, beautiful, on a mountain of skulls. This beautiful cover is the work of Mark Silvestri, and I just love everything going on in this cover. Everything. Yeah, all the lines, the dark tones, just beautiful Mark Silvestri cover. This is iconic. This is about as iconic of a Wolverine cover as you can get, especially for the Gen X people. This is right around the time Jim Lee comes about. Yeah, Jim Lee's already done his first cover. Silvestri hits back with this beauty, but then we move on to the Lee run on X-Men. Now the next comic, this is 9. The next comic is technically one unit, and unfortunately I don't have the other cover with me, but as you know, 141 and 142. Anybody who collects comics will tell you it's a set, because it's the Days of Future Past, part 1 and part 2. This is the conclusion. Now, 141 would normally be here, and again, it would be a set and a unit. I would count them technically as like 2 covers, but for the purposes of this countdown, I would say they're 1 cover. But yeah, 141, as you know, is also an iconic cover. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me here, but it'd be 141 and 142 together. And the 141 is also a John Byrne cover, and it's with Old Man Logan, kind of with his claws out in the back, and in the back he has with him Kitty Pryde, and he has the wanted poster behind him. So it's a pretty compelling cover, and one that definitely makes the cut in the top 10. Okay, next we've got Punisher War Journal number 6, and another beautiful earlier Jim Lee cover here, and just Wolverine with his claws through the Punisher's suit there, looking fierce. You can't go wrong with this cover, this Wolverine cover, and that's the thing. I really could have done it just a top 10, or even a top 25 Jim Lee Wolverine cover. I could have done it with just Jim Lee covers, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll just do the top, 10 or 15 Jim Lee Wolverine covers, because there's that many. But this one definitely is one of the best in the Jim Lee list of Wolverine covers. And here's another one, X-Men 268. This is just the famous one of the first meeting between Captain America, Black Widow, and of course Logan. Beautiful cover. So yeah, where are we? I think we're on cover number. We covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 2 technically. So we're now on number 5. Here is 4. Peach Momoko's Weapon X. It's a beautiful cover. Yeah. I love Peach Momoko. She's just one of my favorite artists at the moment, and looking forward to picking more of her books up. But this is next on the list, and I've gone over many times why this is a book you should have in your collection. And there's a lot of attention on Alpha Flight 51, sort of as Jim Lee's first interior, sort of major interior work. But I've also outlined some of his other earlier books at Marvel, and this is his first cover in comic books, so very significant, just for the fact that it's his first cover and his first cover and interior work. So go out and pick this. This is, pick it up while it's still cheap. You can probably get this. Now, I will say this, it's tough to get in high grade because of this yellow. Okay, so it has a double whammy. It has this yellow cover, which will pick up all these like stains, and in fact, consistently has this sort of printing error where the ink rubs as consistent, so it's hard to find copies where that's minimized and it's clean. The other whammy, and I'm not going to take it out, but on the back cover, it's a completely black cover. So if you've got any kind of spine issues, that black back cover is going to pick up all the spine issues with it. So I would imagine GPA on this is not going to be good. It's going to be a hard book to find in high grades. 9.8 should be fairly, and in fact the 2 copies I have are probably the 9s, but they're definitely nowhere near 9.8. It's just too difficult, so just keep that in mind if you are on the hunt for those. X-Men 11, yeah. You know, if I like to use the sports analogy a lot. I like to use the sports analogy because I think, you know, sports analogies kind of, you can put a comic book creator's career into perspective with a sports analogy. So, like, you know, I'll oftentimes say this is Jim Lee's, you know, all-star, his like first all-star appearance, or this is Jim Lee's first, you know, 100-point game, or something significant. This is definitely like Jim Lee prime all-star 100-point game cover. Just one of the, I would say one of the measures. Definitely it's unfortunate this is his last official X-Men cover. I know he's done some Wolverine covers and X-Men covers, variant covers, but in recent years, which is great. I hope he does more, but you know, this is technically his last X-Men book in that Claremont run, that brilliant run he did. So a little bittersweet, but beautiful cover nonetheless. And yeah, it's all-star stuff. So that's number 3, and now we're gonna go David Nakayama's X Deaths of Wolverine variant cover. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just recently covered this. When I got it, I had to do a video on it. And I just wanted to, you know, so I would say it's the second best Wolverine cover in my collection. And I don't think there's much that needs to be said on why it is. It's just a beautiful, not only for Wolverine himself and the pose and the samurai sword, but the background. Look at that background. It's just a beautiful background. Mount Fuji. Just a beautiful spring day. And Wolverine is just looking badass. Alright, so I gave you a preview of number 1. And for anybody who's been watching and following along with me, you all know how much I love this cover. And I really think this is, if you gotta pick, if you gotta associate one image with an artist, and there are those images or covers you can say, okay, that definitely like would exemplify the career or work of that artist. For me, I've always said, as awesome as Jim Lee can do a number of characters, and he has over the years, whether it's Punisher, whether it's Batman, Superman, I think Jim Lee's will always be just kind of like going back to his first cover I mentioned in my, I oftentimes mention in my videos that the concept of unmyeong. Unmyeong is something I definitely take with me whenever I'm digging in a box or whenever I'm out on the hunt. I'm always looking for books that are on my want list, but they're also books that come into my awareness on the hunt, and those books are unmyeong, or your destiny or fate. Like that book, came into your, it crossed your path, and there are forces there at work, right, of it coming into your path. So sometimes you just got to pick it up. And definitely I would say, because it's his first cover and because he's just so masterfully has drawn Wolverine, both in Punisher War Journal, on Wolverine, and of course he lands X-Men eventually, where he's just drawing Wolverine all the time. It's really propelled Jim Lee to get to where he is today. So me personally, my favorite cover of Jim Lee is his Superman cover. And so if I were to do like the top covers, and I'll get to that, I'll probably go through the top Jim Lee covers in my collection at some point, or the top Jim Lee books. But yeah, for me, that Superman and Batman, the ones where they're on the top of the building, that to me is like my favorite. But I come back to this, and the reason I think this is definitely his best Wolverine cover, but also probably one of the definitive images of his comic book career, is because of how iconic this image is. Just that pose. This was literally on like ads for video games for X-Men. It was like you just saw, and this has been like swiped, this kind of pose and him jumping out. It's been swiped by him. It's been swiped by, actually this was a swipe of Captain America, but my point is like this kind of where the action's jumping out at you, and the facial features there, and just the pure savagery in this still image, with the action kind of moving out through the lines. This was a very 90s-esque motif you saw in the art style that Jim Lee popularized. All those guys at that time that were working at Marvel at that time popularized. And so this is definitely, like, I would say, the character and the image that pretty much exemplify Jim Lee, at least Jim Lee at Marvel. I wouldn't say exemplify his entire career, because Jim Lee does go on to do other really popular characters, and so but again, going back to, if you're going to associate one character with Jim Lee, and the character that really kind of propelled Jim Lee to superstardom, is Wolverine. Because if you look at the best-selling comic of all time, and that's really what Jim Lee, even to this day, will just be remembered for, the fact that this book here, X-Men 1, sold 8 million copies, and that image right there is a big reason why. This image right there is a big reason why people went out and bought so many copies of this book. So, yeah, I mean, this didn't make the list. This did not make my list, but this is definitely a key, the best-selling book of all time. And this is Jim Lee's, this is Jim Lee's 100-point, perfect game, no hit shutout, complete perfect game, with 4 home runs, and what else? I like the cycle. I mean, it's everything. But before we got here, this is it. This is the image of the 90s, image of I think his best Wolverine image and cover. So yeah, let me know what you think. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of people going, you're obviously gonna bring up Wolverine covers that you think should have been on the list. I am happy to hear those things, and I admit there's even Wolverine covers in my collection that I didn't put on, like this one here, right? This could have easily made the list in terms of the top 10. There are a bunch of Jim Lee covers that could have made the list with Wolverine. And there's definitely so many great artists that have done Wolverine over the years. In fact, I don't even have any of the Wolverine outside of this cover, the Wolverine run itself. So there's a lot of great ones of Jim, of the character, even the the Frank Miller. So yeah, feel free to let your opinions be known, and but overall, yeah, thanks for watching and hanging out as we went over the top 10 Wolverine covers in my book. Thanks.